All right, now you're ready for Animal Walks Level 1. So this workout is going to be quite challenging for some of you, but as you progress, it's going to just be a warm-up. These movements are really good at giving you some active mobility. So rather than being flexible, which implies being able to reach a range of motion, but it doesn't incorporate any strength within that range of motion. With all these movements, you're going to start building range of motion with strength at length. So that's mobility. That's what you really want to be aiming for longevity and healthy functioning joints as we age through life. So we'll get into it. The first one is just going to be a groin opener. So what you're going to do is try to come down into a deep squat. You might have to just swing side to side to be able to get your heels nice and flat. Ideally, your heels are going to stay flat throughout this whole movement. If you've got very tight ankles and you're not able to find a position where you can have your feet completely flat, you can grab some plates or a book and you can just place it underneath your heels. This is going to reduce the requirement for the extension required through the foot and the stretch through your Achilles. Okay, so you proceed through the movement exactly the same, but you're just going to have your heels raised. So I'm not going to use them. You're going to come down into a nice deep squat here, and you're going to grab your opposite ankle, and you're going to place a hand in front of your face. You're going to keep your eyes on your hand the whole time as you bring your hand up to your nose, past your face, and towards the ceiling, and back to your nose, and down to the ground. So we're getting some opening through the groin and some rotation around the spine. We're just going to go for 5 to 8 nice controlled movements through this range of motion here. I'm just going to do 5, so this is 4 and 5. And then we're going to move on to the other side. So grabbing the other ankle with your opposite hand and repeating the process. What you want to do is really try to get as much rotation through the trunk as possible through this movement, rather than bringing your hand out towards the side and sweeping like this. You really want to make sure that you bring your hand up to your face, past your nose, and up to the ceiling. So I've got 2 more here. Cool. And that's our groin openers. Now moving into duck walks. So for this level 1 set of animal walks, the movements are a bit less strict. So as you progress through level 2 and 3, there's going to be a lot more attention to detail and orientation. So starting out, this is just getting you to start opening, starting to work through these ranges of motion, getting your muscles moving into length and working on your balance. Okay, so the first one's just a classic duck walk. I'm going to be squatted down on one leg. I'm starting with my knee and ankle relatively close to each other here. And I'm going to travel forward and just sweep my feet underneath me and back to the start position. So with these exercises, you can either do it for a distance, so you can choose a distance that you're going to move through, or you can do it for time. For this purpose of this class, we're going to do it for time. So I'm going to put the timer on, we're going to do it for a minute, then we're going to have 30 seconds off, then we're going to move into the next exercise, okay? So I'm just going to start this timer now. It's going to beep us in. So for some of you with less range of motion and flexibility, you might be up here, and that's okay. Just keep working through this movement, and you're going to gain range of motion through your quads, your knees, your calves, and your ankles, and through the plantar flexors as well. You got 5 seconds left. Cool, so we've got a 30-second break here, and I'm just going to explain the next movement. So the next one's going to be a bear crawl. So for this, you want to start in a tabletop position. So your knees underneath your hips and your hands and elbows underneath your shoulders. We're going to come to a float, and then you're going to proceed to travel forward. At this point, it doesn't matter where your knees go. Just do what feels natural. Try to have your core lifted so we're not dropped down like this, and try to control your hips so they're not swinging everywhere. So we got a minute of bear crawls, and we're going to go forward and back. This exercise is really good for building general strength through the body and stability. Working control in through the ankles, the knees, the hips, the shoulders, the elbows, and the wrists. And we've got 8 seconds left. All right, so our next one's going to be an ape walk. So for level 1, it's going to be less of a traversing walk and more of a stationary exercise. So we're going to be squatted down on one leg and your other leg's extended out to your side. What we want to do, the ultimate aim, is to keep your hips as low as possible, where you transfer to the other leg. Right? Initially, if your heel's off the ground, that's fine. So it might look like this for you. Up and down, heels coming off, that's fine, okay? So we're just going to go back and forth. If you need to have your hands in front of you for balance, that's okay. If it looks like this initially, hips coming all the way back up to standing, that's all right. Over time, you'll get more mobility and more strength. You want to do your best to try to get your legs straight and locked out before you transition back to the other side. If you can't get there yet, that's fine. You will get there. When you're thinking about your hips moving, think about seeing them back, around, and down. All right. So our next one is a 3-legged dog run. So essentially, we're going to have one leg down, our hands in front of our feet, and we're going to reach forward and then hop our leg as close to our hands as possible. So for this, I'm going to go on my right leg down this way and my left leg back, okay? So getting ready in 3 seconds. Changing my leg. If it looks more like this initially, that's fine. You want to use your back leg to kick up to help you get a bit more height. You're going to pull yourself towards your hands using your shoulders. Just over halfway now. Ten seconds. All right, and the last one is cartwheels. So for you, some of you, it's going to be very challenging. So I'm just going to show you the basics, the foundations of this movement. We're going to sweep our arms in front of us. So our hands are going to face behind us. Then you're going to try to hop and do a little twist. Okay? So you can just go back and forth. And over time, you're going to try to get your hips higher and your legs higher as well. It's completely fine if it looks like this and you're not quite getting there yet. We'll run through a tutorial later on how to get your first cartwheel, sorry. Halfway. Ten seconds. Awesome. That concludes Animal Walks Level 1. Hope you enjoyed. Fuck, I got puffed from that.